Hi, this is Holly of Holly's Soap Making. In this video, I'll be showing you my attempt at a line pour soap with a color gradient on the bottom. You'll find all the details and links listed below, and if you're interested in the recipe I used, I'll list it at the end entered into a soap calculator. Be sure to protect your skin and eyes when making soap, and always follow lie-safe handling procedures during the entire soap making process, even when cleaning up. Check out the description box below for links on lye safety and beginner soap making. I chose the orange and white color palette for this soap based on the fragrance I was using, an orange cedarwood essential oil blend. For the orange, I hydrated some orange eye-light clay with distilled water. I usually like to hydrate the clay so it's easier to incorporate later without too much blending, which can accelerate trace. For the white colorant, I dissolved some water-soluble titanium dioxide in warm distilled water. The essential oil blend I used is one of my old favorites. It's a blend of sweet orange, cedarwood, and just a little bit of patchouli. I am going to show the lye and oil preparation here, but if you'd like to skip this part, you can use the YouTube progress bar below to find the next section. I weighed out my distilled water and sodium hydroxide into separate containers. Then I poured the sodium hydroxide into the water and carefully stirred until it was dissolved. Be sure to work in a well-ventilated area away from pets and children, and never stand directly over the container or breathe any of the fumes. When I was certain the sodium hydroxide was dissolved, I set the lye aside to cool and moved on to preparing the oils. I started with the cocoa butter first, since it has the highest melting point. When it was almost completely melted, I weighed out the shea butter and coconut oil. I weighed out the liquid oils next: olive, avocado, castor, and finally sunflower oil. Then I combined them into one container and waited on them to cool down. I wanted you to be able to see the soap inside the bowl, so I transferred the oils to my clear glass mixing bowl. I stopped blending when I reached emulsion and then poured off 40% of the soap to create the orange, and the remaining 60% would be the white soap. I actually meant to add the essential oils before separating the soap, but I just did that here by weighing it out based on the same 40% and 60% portions. To create the orange soap, I added the hydrated orange clay at a rate of 1/3 teaspoon per cup of soap. For the white, I separated off a little of the soap, then added the titanium dioxide and blended until it looked smooth, with no white specks. I like incorporating it this way so that I can blend as much as needed without accelerating trace in the entire portion. The line pour is a technique I've been wanting to try for a while, and you've probably seen lots of videos on it since it was also a Soap Challenge Club tutorial a while back. In addition to the lines, I also wanted to try adding a gradient on the bottom, similar to Yvonne's beautiful thin line soap. For my design, I wanted the lines to gradually increase in size and density, ending with the gradient. The design didn't turn out exactly as planned, but I really had fun trying this technique. I'll list all these videos below in case there's one you haven't seen before. And if you know of any that I missed, let me know in the comments below. To hold the mold at an angle during the pour, I use the Soap Mold Angler by Custom Craft Tools that they so kindly sent me a while back in exchange for a review. In case you're interested in seeing that video, I'll be sure and list it below as well. I oven process the soap as I normally do, by preheating the oven to its lowest temperature, cutting the oven off, then placing the soap inside. I removed the soap the next morning and then unmolded and cut it that afternoon. Here I'm measuring the width of the bars to be 2.5 inches. I wanted the finished bars to measure 4 inches by 2.5 inches by 1 inch thick. So I first cut the loaf into sections, then turned each section and cut them so the face of the soap shows the straight thin lines. Since I was making a cold process soap, I made sure the type of lye was set to sodium hydroxide or NaOH. My recipe oil weight was 1100 grams. My lye concentration was 35%, which means my lye solution was made up of 35% sodium hydroxide and 65% water. If you'd rather not use this much of a water discount, you can set this to 33% or even 31%. I left the superfat at 5% and my fragrance usage rate was 40 grams per kilogram. Once you have everything entered, you just select to calculate the recipe, then to view or print it. SoapCalc will give you a really nice listing of all the ingredients along with the amount of sodium hydroxide required to saponify your oils. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I really hope you found something useful here to help you in your soap making.